I finally played Doom: The Dark Ages. This is actually my first Doom game, I believe, in years. And I might be wrong about that. The first time I ever heard about Doom, if I'm not mistaken, I was a child. It was around the same time I heard of, I think, like Quake or Half-Life. So I could be getting this mixed up, as in the first time I played Doom, but I think I played it for the first time around the 90s on a PC. But I haven't played one since. I'm technically not a Doom fan. Like, I respect it because I know it's one of the greatest franchises ever made. I know the combat and the gameplay is legendary, especially for first-person shooters. The Doom Slayer is hands down one of the most coolest characters possibly ever in gaming. But I've never been the type of person to buy these. So, in a lot of ways, this is technically my first experience playing Doom, and I really enjoyed it. Like, it's something that really keeps you, wanting to see what you're going to do next, see what kind of powers you're going to unlock, or what type of weapons. The combat is very murderous, bloody, guts everywhere, hellacious. We're talking demons and devils, and all these different types of man-eating monsters. It's almost like a horror film that is action-packed and is about as deadly as you can get. Another game I actually played for the first time ever recently was Warhammer this year. This feels like Warhammer, or maybe Warhammer feels like this. This is almost like a first-person shooter version of that. So I already knew I was going to like the game, but I did at some point get a little bored just because it is repetitive after a while. Going through these sci-fi fantasy dungeon-looking torture areas and rooms, and sometimes you're out in the open in nature or places that look like they've been overrun by hell. There are strategic elements, but a lot of times you're so relentless and unstoppable, it almost feels like a hack and slash, which I have no problem with that. It was very fun, and I just wanted to murder everything in sight. In the game, obviously, not in real life. I'm not a psychopath, I think. The characters from what I did see are very developed. They have their personalities and their deficiencies as well as their strengths, and I think the cast did a great job as far as voice acting. The visuals in this game is groundbreaking in some ways, like almost jaw-dropping, where I was sitting there like, whoa, that is cool. Like I said, I'm not even the biggest Doom fan, but Doom Slayer looks so cool that I actually saw a McFarlane figure that I was thinking, like, I should probably buy this. That's how well designed these characters are. Like I said, it still feels repetitive at times, but don't get me wrong, there are plenty of enemy types, different power-ups and upgrades that you can use, and it's very fun, especially when you're trying out different weapons on different types of monsters. And I just checked, the first Doom is the last Doom I ever played, so from a casual, I highly recommend Doom: Dark Ages.